Welcome to navigating CADRE's Dispute Resolution Data Dashboard. I'm Melanie Reese, the Director of CADRE. In this presentation, I will briefly cover what data is included in CADRE's Dispute Resolution Data Dashboard, how the dashboard is organized, the types of comparisons and charts that are available, and I'll share how to access the table view of the data. First, I will discuss the data elements or variables included in the Dispute Resolution Dashboard. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires state education agencies and lead agencies to oversee and manage 3 dispute resolution options in the event that there are disagreements over special education or early intervention matters provided for under the law. The 3 options for dispute resolution are mediation, state complaints, and due process complaints. States report this dispute resolution activity to the federal government annually. Section 618 of the IDEA requires that each state submit data about the children with disabilities who receive services under the IDEA, including the state's dispute resolution data and the state's child count. For dispute resolution, states submit data for the previous school year each November. The Office of Special Education Programs goes through their verification and monitoring process and then releases the data the following summer. The most current data on the dashboard will be for the previous school year. States report in 4 dispute resolution areas: written signed complaints, mediation, due process complaints, and expedited due process complaints. Each section has specific elements of the dispute resolution process reported on by the states, such as the number of requests or filings, how timely the state was in addressing the dispute resolution option, and the overall outcome for each. These elements are explained in more detail in the Where Do Data Come From video available on this site. To allow for easy comparison between states, users can examine dispute resolution rates on a per capita basis. To do this, CADRE incorporates the child count data for each state. Child count is the number of children with disabilities receiving special education and related services according to an individualized education program or service plan in place on the count date as reported by the state. CADRE combines the 618 dispute resolution data with the state's child count data, incorporating it into our multi-year database or longitudinal database, allowing us to examine trends over multiple years. By including the child count, we can make calculations on a per capita basis, specifically looking at the activity per 10,000 child count. We can compare states by asking, for every 10,000 students in special education, how many of a particular type of dispute resolution event, such as state complaints filed, were there? The formula we use is the number of dispute resolution events, like state complaints filed, divided by the child count for that state, and then we multiply that by 10,000. For example, if we had 150 mediations held in one state with a child count of 75,000, we would take 150 and divide it by 75,000. We would then take that number, 0.002, and multiply it by 10,000 to find a rate of 20 mediations held per 10,000 child count in that state. For a deeper dive exploring the elements of CADRE's National Dispute Resolution Longitudinal Database, please see the presentation, Where Do Data Come From? CADRE's Dispute Resolution Dashboard is organized into 5 areas. The landing page brings you to the Dispute Resolution Overview page, showing 5 tabs. The first is the Dispute Resolution Overview tab housing the charts, where all dispute resolution activity is combined. Here you'll find graphs for all dispute resolution activity by school year and states. You'll also find the relative use of dispute resolution options chart, which will be explained later in this presentation. The other tabs present data for the 4 dispute resolution options individually, specifically written state complaints, mediation, due process complaints, and expedited due process complaints. The dashboard gives users the ability to compare states to each other, as well as to the national average. Additionally, it offers the ability to look at an individual state's data over time. I will explain how to use the dashboard to compare dispute resolution activity by event or by a state's child count, how to compare across school years, how to compare states to other states or the national average, how to examine the longitudinal trends or view single-year snapshots, and finally, I'll explain the relative use of dispute resolution options chart. First, we'll look at how to compare by event or per 10,000 child count. Each chart in the data dashboard offers two options for viewing the data. Users can examine the data by the 10,000 child count or by the actual number of total events. The toggle button allows easy maneuvering between the two types of data views. Here's how it works. Simply toggle to the left to view the data by the 10,000 child count, and toggle to the right to see the data in the actual number of events for a given data set. Next, we'll look at how to compare the school years. Each chart allows for comparison by one or more school years. You can see in each chart what school years are represented by the legend as each new visual is generated. The automatic or default setting is always for the most recent school year, and when there are multiple selections available, it will automatically set to the most recent 6 school years. Here's a tip if you want to clear the default settings for the school years or for any data that has been pre-selected. When you open the drop-down box and hover the cursor over the arrow up, it will reveal the eraser icon. Click this icon to erase all selections. If none are selected, the default will be to select all options. To select specific years, simply click the box of your choice. Next, we'll talk about how to compare states. Most of the charts allow for comparison by one or more states and entities, including comparing to the national figures. When chosen, you will see in each chart what states are represented by the legend as each new visual is generated. The default setting is always U.S. and outlying areas, but you can change that to only show the 50 states or individual states. When multiple selections are allowed, you can click on several states to compare them to each other. Next, I will discuss how to examine longitudinal trends. The database includes data from 2004-2005 through the most available current year. This comprehensive data set offers the opportunity to identify trends over time. For example, if we look at the national data for written state complaints filed between 2012-2013 to 2021-22, we can see that written state complaints filings were fairly steady for the decade, dropped in 2020-21, and then rose sharply in 21-22. Or, if we want to look at one state over several years, we could see how Ohio's expedited due process hearings had remained relatively steady for 5 years, but then in 2018-19 started a significant 3-year decline, rising again following the pandemic in 21-22. The dashboard can also provide a single-year snapshot, like this comparison between the national average of written state complaint events and one state, Colorado, who was significantly below the average in filings that year. The relative use of dispute resolution options offers a comparison of how often each process is used. By combining all of the dispute resolution activity together in a given year, the chart shows the percentage of use for each dispute resolution option. This chart shows the U.S. and outlying areas for 2016 through 2022 and roughly shows that 11 to 14% of the dispute resolution activity cases were written state complaints, 23 to 33% were mediation, and 52 to 65% were due process complaints. Now, if we look at a specific state, in the second chart showing Massachusetts, their data tells us that more than half of all of their dispute resolution activity for those same years was in mediation, and less than 20% of their dispute resolution work was in due process activity. Finally, if you are interested in looking at the data in table form, this option is available in the dashboard. By placing your cursor inside any graph and right-clicking, this button will appear. The button reads, Show as a Table. If you click on the button, a new page will open up with a table appearing below the bar graph. To return to the dashboard, simply click the Back to Report button that is located at the top of the page. This concludes the information about navigating CADRE's dispute resolution data dashboard. You can contact us at www.cadreworks.org for additional information. Thank you.